Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Not long ago, I made a video detailing Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach speedrunning and how runners were already able to complete the game in under 6 minutes by exploiting several glitches. Well, since that time, despite the game getting a patch that thankfully fixed none of the speedrun exploits, even more glitches were discovered and even more segments of the game can be completely skipped. You can even complete the game without ever once re-entering Freddy Fazbear's cavity here. And yes, you read the title of this video right, some runners have even been able to beat the game from start to finish in only 3 minutes. Here's how. So firstly, exactly like in my previous video, you can skip the intro cutscene thing here as the timer for the run starts right as Freddy Fazbear's meter drops down to 2 bars. Then while we wait here, now's a good time to again explain the dialogue skip in the game. Basically, if you crank down the dialogue level in the options to 0, by doing so you can skip much of the intro segment. This saves about a minute, which may not seem like much, but if a run only lasts like 5 minutes or less, that's definitely not negligible. Then, after quickly spawning in Vanessa the guard here, grabbing the Fazwatch from Freddy's cavity, I love calling it that, we can flash the watch, open the door, and head on into the vents. Just as I explained in my last video, here it's vital to master managing the sprint meter to optimize how fast you can get through these vents. This intro basically takes up like 25% of the run here. It's not super difficult stuff, but mastering it is key. Then after hopping out of the vents and running across the hall here, we can say sayonara to Freddy as we won't be seeing him at all for the rest of this run. Then next, we go back into this room, which is just as important as it was in my previous video, but now for a different reason, and here is where the new strats kick in. Since we no longer use Freddy or the commie clip that deloads much of the game, a new way to skip this segment is needed, and thankfully another rather easy glitch to pull off can be found right in this here corner. By simply positioning yourself in the corner here, you can smack around the jump button while holding both up and right at the same time. And by doing so, using this poster here, you will start to scale the wall in a less than smooth fashion. This is basically the equivalent of Super Mario 64's BLJ trick here. I should also point out that I found that it wasn't a matter of just mashing jump as fast as you can here, but there's almost a sort of rhythm that you want to get with it to get more consistent results. Anyways, after scaling the wall, you will once again find yourself in the void between the walls of the Megaplex, basically a theme of sorts in these out-of-bounds speedruns. Once in the void, you then have to find this here area and take a nice jog down, and then after, aim for these small blue lights off in the distance. After a few seconds, the game will then load you right into this area in Roxy's Raceway, which in a glitchless game might have been a problem. But hey, this is FNAF Security Breach, surely this can't stop us, right? Well, after waiting for these bags here to load in, you can actually use them to jump your way up this corner and right onto this wall thing. Then you jump across to this wall, then normally if you're better than I am at this game, it's better to jump across here to this next segment, but I've personally lost way too many runs than I'd like to admit to this jump since it's so precise that I found it much more consistent to just walk along these things here to get across. It might cost a few seconds, but for me anyways, I think it's worth it for the lower risk. Then we can jump across to this sea can here, cross over, and then jump over this fence, and bam, we're right back here into this area. That's another key point in many speedruns of this game. Once here, you can like hug the railing here and then jump onto this section, and then after doing so, we can jump across here and this causes another deload. But here, unlike in past runs where you try to run and go to the laser tag segment, here you have to bolt across to make it to these doors. Now this part I found extremely precise, as if you take even a bit too much time to get here, the stage will load back in and you'll end up getting stuck here, completely destroying the run. Anyways, if you're able to make it in time, you just have to gently move to the right and fall down into this here server room or whatever this is. Another word of caution, I recommend waiting here until the stage loads completely back in. Otherwise, you can walk a bit and just fall off the stage into the void and once again, completely end the run. And no, this definitely never happened to me and didn't make me almost throw my keyboard across the room. Why do you ask? Anyways, once here and everything is loaded in, you look for this here checkered door, head on through, tip your hat as you pass this creepy security staff bot, head on down, then go up the spiraling stairs, open the gate, cross the catwalk, and bada bing bada boom, just like that, the game is done. Even with a few mistakes here and there, I was able to beat the game in just under 4 minutes. It may not be anywhere near top 5 in the world like I used to be, but hey, I don't think it's anything to sneeze at. But now, you may be wondering, didn't I say less than 3 minutes? Yup, if you're more skilled than I am, although this category of speedrunning this game already has runners nearing the 3-minute mark, there's actually a new any percent category that roughly uses the same route as the one I just showed you, but it's a tad more broken, if you can imagine that. Basically, after you jump up the wall in this room here, runners actually pause the game, and this is to allow the game to actually load a few things faster than normal. And basically, the reason this has its own category is that this is really hardware dependent, with different machines loading the game at different speeds. Then anyways, after getting into the void, these runs actually have you completely bypassing the whole Roxy's Raceway segment, and you pretty much just stay in the void all the way up until this hallway with the security bot right before the end segment. And as I make this video, the world record is held by Sanic5238 with a time of 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, there is a bit of an asterisk with this, as it's only technically sub 3 minutes since this category is ranked by in-game time, which doesn't count time spent during the pause screens. Regardless though, it's still pretty impressive. Although these exploits are rather easy to do, it's what you do after that really makes the speedrun what it is. It's definitely a case of easy to learn, hard to master. It's only been a few weeks since the game came out, and it seems runners are finding new ways to break the game and cut run times almost every day. Who knows, we may even see runs closer to 2 minutes at this rate. Now, I've seen a lot of people criticize the game and the developers for this stuff, but honestly, I think it's kinda cool. I made the comparison to Super Mario 64 earlier, and I think these glitches are similar in that you can break the game in ways the developers didn't expect in order to beat the game in some ridiculously fast times, even bypassing most of the game's mechanics. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave me a like down below, it really does help out with YouTube's algorithm, and if you haven't yet, be sure to check out my recent video on FNAF VR's unused content, and be sure to subscribe to find your way back in the future. Oh yeah, and if you want to get into speedrunning this game yourself, I'll leave a link to the speedrunning Discord down in the description. The fellas there have been super helpful, and I'm sure they can help you get started as well. And as always, thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I will see you in a bit.